What I'm about to share with you is so simple, it feels wrong. It's so effortless that your mind will rebel against it. Because everything you've been taught about manifestation, all the hard work, the visualizing, the endless affirmations, has been keeping your dreams trapped in an endless loop of almost but not quite. The real breakthrough happens when you do the complete opposite, and it's ridiculously easy. Comment below, I'm ready, if you're tired of chasing your dreams and ready to become the person who already has them. Because what I'm about to share will flip your entire understanding of reality upside down. Everyone teaches you manifestation forward. Visualize, attract, and achieve. Quantum manifestation flips that completely upside down. You don't manifest from desire. You manifest from outcome. Here's how to do it backwards, and watch miracles unfold. You've probably been told countless times. Clearly visualize your goals. See every detail. Feel the emotions as if you already have it. You've heard this advice from countless coaches, teachers, and books. Maybe you've spent hours each day imagining your dream life, picturing your dream job, your ideal partner, financial abundance, or vibrant health. You've likely closed your eyes, repeated affirmations, and tried your hardest to maintain positive feelings. And yet, something still feels off. It seems just out of reach, like you're constantly grasping at shadows. When you visualize something as a future goal, you reinforce the gap between yourself and what you desire. Think about that for a second. Every time you try harder to feel abundant or loved or successful, if deep down you still perceive it as something in the future, you're energetically broadcasting the exact opposite of what you want. You are inadvertently reinforcing your lack, and the quantum field, being a mirror of your dominant frequency, reflects back exactly that: more distance, more waiting, more frustration. This is where quantum manifestation turns the whole process upside down, and why it's infinitely more powerful. And if you think you know where this is going, think again. Quantum manifestation doesn't ask you to pretend something is already true in some vague future. Instead, it starts by placing you directly inside the outcome right here and now. It asks you to shift your state from wanting to already having, to think, feel, and act from the outcome rather than toward it. And here's the crucial distinction. It's not about imagining a future result. It's about experiencing the end state now. Quantum manifestation doesn't operate linearly. It operates backward from the end to the beginning. To make this clearer, let's use an analogy that will blow your mind. Imagine you're watching a movie, but instead of watching it from start to finish, you begin at the final scene. You see the resolution, the happiness, the clarity. With that knowledge of the outcome, every event leading up to it takes on a different meaning. You don't doubt how things will resolve. You don't question whether the hero will succeed. You already know the ending. Quantum manifestation works exactly the same way. When you start from the outcome, you experience a profound shift in your energetic frequency. Anxiety and urgency dissolve. Doubt fades. Why? Because there's no longer a question of whether something will happen. You're experiencing it as already done. And here's where it gets scientifically fascinating. Quantum physics backs this up. Experiments like the double-slit experiment and studies on retrocausality show us clearly that at the quantum level, past, present, and future are not separate. They coexist as possibilities, and your observation, your state of being, collapses them into reality. The moment you consciously choose to embody your future outcome, you collapse all other possibilities and anchor your desired timeline into your present experience. The quantum field responds to who you are being, not what you want to become. Think of it this way. Desire implies distance. Outcome implies presence. Desire says, I don't have it yet. Outcome says, it's already mine. Desire keeps you in a state of reaching and longing. Outcome puts you in a state of receiving and gratitude. From the quantum perspective, the universe never delivers what you desire, only what you embody. And the strongest way to embody something is to start living from it now, not waiting for external proof. So how do you practically apply this? The answer might surprise you. The key is to stop visualizing your outcome from the outside and instead embody it from the inside. Instead of imagining what it would feel like to get what you want, ask yourself, if this were already true, what thoughts would I think right now? What actions would feel natural and easy? How would my energy shift? Immediately, your internal state adjusts. Your nervous system relaxes. Your perception changes. Your emotional field stabilizes. And perhaps most importantly, your quantum broadcast transforms. You are no longer signaling lack. You're signaling coherence and completeness. You're not chasing. You're aligning. The irony here, and it's a beautiful irony, is that the moment you stop needing your desire to show up, it does. When you become indifferent to the timing, because you're so immersed in the feeling of already having it, manifestation accelerates exponentially. The quantum field doesn't require effort. It requires congruence. The secret lies, not in wanting something badly enough, but in no longer needing it, because you're fully occupying the emotional, mental, and energetic space of already having it. This is why quantum manifestation is so powerful and yet so misunderstood. But wait until you hear what separates the effortless manifestors from everyone else. It's backward from everything we've been taught about achieving our dreams. But the moment you get it, the moment you embody it, you realize it's not complicated at all. It's elegant, it's precise, and it's profoundly transformative. Stay with me, because in just a moment, you'll discover exactly how to step into that reversed flow of manifestation, living from the outcome first. And once you do, you'll never want to manifest any other way again. You see, when you use traditional manifestation techniques, you're often instructed to affirm things like, I want abundance, I want success, I want the perfect relationship. Sounds innocent enough, right? But let's take a closer look at the hidden message this sends to the quantum field. Each time you say, I want, you unconsciously affirm a reality in which the thing you desire is missing. You're broadcasting lack. You're energetically confirming to the universe again and again, I don't have it yet. But here's the beautiful paradox that quantum manifestation reveals. The universe is not responding to what you want. It's responding to what you are. If your dominant emotional state is wanting, the quantum field has no choice but to mirror that exact state back to you. It matches your vibration with impeccable accuracy. So if you constantly signal wanting, the universe confirms this state by providing you more situations where you're left wanting, where fulfillment remains just out of reach. Now consider the opposite approach. And this is where everything changes. Imagine shifting your focus entirely from what you lack to what already exists in the quantum field. Because here's the profound truth. Science now fully supports every reality, every outcome, every dream you could possibly imagine is already encoded as a potential within the quantum field. You're not inventing or creating it from scratch. You're simply aligning with a reality that already exists as a possibility. Let's visualize this with a simple yet profound metaphor that will change how you see everything. Think of the quantum field as an enormous cosmic library. Every single possible version of your life already exists as a complete book on the shelves. You don't need to write the book from page 1. All you need to do is pick the book off the shelf, open it, and start reading, experiencing it fully, feeling it, believing it's real right now. This small yet vital shift in perspective is the difference between years of fruitless effort and instant energetic coherence. When you begin manifesting backward by assuming the outcome already exists, you step into a new energetic frequency. Instead of communicating I lack, you broadcast I have, and the quantum field, true to its nature, immediately reflects back that state of being. It's not magic. It's not wishful thinking. It's quantum physics at work. It's a scientifically validated reality. What you hold energetically, you receive experientially. Think about it this way. Manifestation isn't about convincing the universe or earning your desires through effort. It's about recognizing that reality itself is malleable, responsive, and waiting for you to choose your state consciously. The people who manifest effortlessly understand this. They don't chase their desires. They choose their outcomes. They embody the version of themselves that already has what they want. And by doing so, they collapse the quantum wave of possibility into a concrete, tangible reality. This is precisely why effortless manifestors always appear calm, relaxed, and confident. They don't push or force outcomes, because they've internalized one simple truth. Forcing implies doubt. Doubt is resistance, and resistance delays manifestation. True quantum manifestors never try to make things happen. They simply align with the version of themselves where the outcome is inevitable and watch as the universe effortlessly rearranges itself around their coherence. Let this sink in deeply. Your manifestation ability doesn't hinge on your willpower, your hustle, or how clearly you visualize. It depends entirely on your internal alignment with the end state you desire. It relies solely on your ability to stop reinforcing lack and instead stabilize your energy in the vibration of completion. Because when you genuinely assume the outcome, when your emotional state fully matches your chosen reality, the universe has absolutely no choice but to mirror it back. This realization can change your life forever. It means you can finally stop chasing dreams from a place of anxiety, urgency, or desperation. It means you no longer have to struggle to prove your worthiness or push harder to force outcomes. Instead, you get to choose your outcomes, stabilize your alignment, and watch miracles flow effortlessly into your life. And as profound as this understanding is, it's just the beginning. Because next, we're going to dive even deeper into exactly how to shift your identity, your very state of being, so that manifestation becomes as effortless as breathing. You'll see why changing who you're being is infinitely more powerful than changing what you're doing. Ready for the next leap? Let's keep going. First, let's pause for a moment and go deeper into the science behind why backward manifestation isn't just a spiritual concept. It's a quantum reality backed by physics. This isn't merely theory or wishful thinking. It's rooted deeply in the fundamental mechanics of the universe itself. At the quantum level, all potential realities coexist simultaneously. Every version of your life, from the most ordinary to the most extraordinary, already exists as possibilities in the quantum field. You're not creating your future from nothing. You're simply selecting which reality you wish to experience. This subtle yet profound truth can forever change your approach to life. It means you don't have to struggle or strain to bring something into being. Your primary task is much simpler and infinitely more elegant. Align yourself with the reality you desire, and then allow it to unfold naturally. Here's the difference. Traditional, forward-thinking manifestation approaches encourage you to build from scratch, like constructing a building brick by brick. You visualize the goal, make plans, and push forward step by step. While there's nothing inherently wrong with effort, this linear method often reinforces the notion that your desires exist somewhere in the distant future, just out of reach. Energetically, this perpetuates a gap, reinforcing a sense of not yet having. Quantum manifestation reverses this completely. Instead of pushing reality into existence, you become the gravitational center that effortlessly pulls the desired reality toward you. You aren't chasing after an outcome. You're magnetizing a timeline that already exists. This subtle yet pivotal shift is the difference between years of frustrated effort and instant, easeful manifestation. Because in quantum physics, everything boils down to resonance. If your energy consistently broadcasts "not here yet," the field reflects delay. But if you vibrate with certainty, gratitude, and fulfillment, as if your desire is already here, the field has no choice but to match that frequency and collapse reality accordingly. This phenomenon is beautifully illustrated by the well-known quantum principle known as the observer effect. Experiments in quantum physics have shown repeatedly that subatomic particles exist as waves of possibility, probabilities, until they're observed or measured. Only at that moment do these waves collapse into specific, measurable particles. You, as the conscious observer, are performing this exact process continually in your daily life. Your dominant emotional state and focused attention are literally collapsing infinite possibilities into a singular, tangible experience. If you consistently observe from a place of absence or lack, you collapse realities that confirm that absence. However, if you observe from a state of fulfillment, gratitude, and certainty, the quantum field collapses possibilities that confirm your state of having. This is exactly why people who master quantum manifestation often seem effortlessly magnetic. They don't chase after anything. Rather, they anchor into the energetic truth that the reality they desire is already theirs. It's not magic. It's quantum mechanics at play. Every moment, your frequency is selecting potential outcomes from an infinite field. What changes your reality isn't endless effort, but coherence of thought and emotion, alignment, embodiment. Consider this carefully. Your life right now, every circumstance you currently experience, is an accurate reflection of your dominant internal state. The quantum field is impartial and precise. It doesn't judge your wishes as good or bad. It simply mirrors back your consistent emotional frequency. So if you want different external results, your task isn't to strive harder outwardly. It's to shift your inner energetic coherence to reflect your chosen reality as already done. It's a quantum shortcut, collapsing timelines instantly. Think of this process like tuning a radio dial. The station, your desired outcome, already exists. You don't need to create the broadcast. You simply adjust your frequency until your energy matches the signal you want. When you do, the music flows effortlessly. The reception becomes clear, and your life begins to reflect exactly the channel you've tuned into. It's not an act of creation. It's an act of alignment. This understanding fundamentally changes your relationship with manifestation. It frees you from the illusion that you must earn your desires through struggle. It liberates you from the myth that goals must be pursued with relentless urgency. Instead, it places you firmly in your true power, the power of conscious, coherent observation. When you realize your role isn't to force the universe to respond, but rather to clearly, consistently align with the reality you've chosen, the shift is instantaneous. This truth, however, is something most people resist at first, because it defies conventional logic. Our entire society is built on the belief that effort equals reward. The quantum reality, however, insists otherwise. Effortless coherence equals resonance, and resonance equals manifestation. The quantum field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to vibration. Right now, you might be thinking, okay, this makes sense, but how do I actually do it? What does quantum manifestation look like in my everyday life? Excellent question. Let's walk through it step by step, making it so practical, so clear, and so simple that you can start seeing shifts immediately, without confusion, effort, or guesswork. The quantum manifestation process can be summarized in 3 clear and powerful steps. Let's unpack each one together, and by the end, you'll have everything you need to transform your reality. Step 1. Clearly choose your desired reality, but as if it already exists. This is the vital foundation, and most people stumble here by visualizing their desires as future scenarios. Instead, begin with absolute clarity on what you desire. Not as a potential event, but as something already real, already achieved. Close your eyes and clearly define your desired outcome from the perspective of having already experienced it. If your goal is financial abundance, for example, don't visualize yourself becoming wealthy someday in the future. Imagine clearly the version of you who's already living in abundance right now. Picture the scenes vividly. Feel the satisfaction. Notice the confidence, the ease, the joy of living from abundance already realized. You're not manifesting from a what-if place. You're manifesting from it's already mine. This is the first crucial shift. Step 2. Completely identify with this reality. Here's where it gets profoundly transformative. Shift from wanting to embodying. Instead of saying, I want to be wealthy, internally affirm, I am already wealthy. Don't merely say the words. Feel them resonate deeply in your body. Notice how your posture changes, how your breathing shifts, how tension releases as you accept this reality completely. It's not about pretending or tricking yourself. It's about anchoring yourself in the emotional and energetic truth of that reality. Your body should feel it clearly. The neural pathways in your brain begin to reorganize around this new identity. Your nervous system relaxes into this frequency. You're no longer signaling uncertainty or lack. You're broadcasting the resonance of fulfillment, confidence, and gratitude. Exactly the signals the quantum field responds to most powerfully. Take a moment to do it right now. Choose one clear, specific reality. Feel it deeply. What emotions arise? Gratitude, relief, freedom, satisfaction? Identify these feelings clearly and allow yourself to dwell in them fully. Don't rush. This is where quantum reality is chosen. By embodying the emotional reality first, then watching as physical reality effortlessly aligns. Step 3. Release all control and allow the quantum field to respond. Now, here's the part many people find challenging, but it's also where the real magic happens. Completely let go of controlling how your desired outcome unfolds. Surrender your attachment to specific paths, methods, or timings. The quantum field works best when you leave the door open for infinite possibilities. The how isn't your job. It never was. Your job is solely to maintain coherence and alignment. The quantum field, infinitely intelligent and responsive, orchestrates all details effortlessly. Think of this like planting a seed. You don't dig up the seed every day to see how it's growing. You plant it, nurture the environment, and trust nature's intelligence to bring it into fruition. Your manifestation works exactly the same way. Trusting the field means embracing uncertainty with curiosity and openness instead of anxiety. When you release control, you stop energetically blocking outcomes with your limited expectations. Suddenly, you open the quantum space for synchronicities, unexpected solutions, surprising opportunities, and effortless miracles. Here's a practical daily exercise you can use immediately. Each morning before you get out of bed, clearly feel your chosen reality, not as future potential, but as present fact. Say internally, I'm already living my ideal reality. Feel it in your body. Imagine what your day would look like, what decisions you would naturally make, how interactions would unfold effortlessly if you were already that version of yourself. Do this for just a few minutes. Then release it entirely. Let go and trust completely. Throughout your day, whenever doubt arises, simply remind yourself gently, it's already done. You don't need to force the feeling again. Just briefly reconnect with certainty. Then move forward from a place of relaxed expectation, knowing it's unfolding perfectly. With practice, this state becomes your natural baseline. You become less reactive, more magnetic, and effortlessly aligned. Your reality begins reshaping itself around this state of coherence. Opportunities come to you. Relationships deepen effortlessly. Problems resolve spontaneously because you're no longer pushing from anxiety or desperation. Life mirrors back your relaxed trust. Does this sound revolutionary? It should, because it's radically different from everything you've been taught. Yet it's grounded entirely in quantum reality. Your life truly can become effortless when you understand that your role is simply coherence and surrender. Quantum manifestation is about getting out of your own way and letting infinite intelligence handle the details. So let's ground that shift together right now. Take a moment to comment below. I am ready to manifest backwards. Don't just write it as a formality. Feel it as a declaration. When you type those words and press send, you're sending a vibrational signal to the field that you are ready. You are no longer trapped in the loop of desire. You are stepping into the reality where you are already the version of yourself who receives. This simple act carries more power than you imagine because it comes from coherence, from embodiment, not from need or lack. You didn't land on this video by accident. You were guided here, not by coincidence, but by frequency, a signal from the quantum field that matched a part of you ready to remember. Because deep down, you know manifestation isn't about striving harder. It's about aligning deeper. True quantum manifestation begins when you stop chasing what you want and start embodying the version of you that already lives it. It's not a theory. It's a shift in state. And the moment you invert the manifestation flow, no longer desiring but becoming, the universe shifts its response. You're no longer requesting. You're collapsing timelines. The quantum field does not respond to pressure, effort, or urgency. It responds to coherence. And now you've seen how simple and powerful it is. The more you embody the version of yourself who already has, the faster the quantum responds. That's the real spiritual work. Not in doing more, but in being more aligned. Your dream future isn't something far away. It already exists in the field, and you just tuned into it.
Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to teach you the most important skill you will ever learn in manifestation. Not how to imagine, not how to visualize, not how to do techniques. Tonight you will learn how to stay in the state. Because here is the truth that most people never grasp. You can assume your desire perfectly. You can enter the state of the wish fulfilled beautifully. You can feel it deeply for a moment. But if you cannot stay there, if you fall out of the state an hour later, a day later, a week later, your desire will never harden into fact. The secret to manifestation is not in entering the state. It is in remaining in the state. Tonight you will learn exactly how to do this. You will learn how to stay faithful to your assumption when circumstances contradict it. You will learn how to deepen your faith when doubt attacks. You will learn how to live in your desired state so naturally, so completely, that nothing can shake you out of it. Are you ready to become unshakable? Then let us begin. Let me show you the pattern that destroys most manifestations. A person has a desire. They learn the law, they get excited. They visualize and feel perfectly. For 20 minutes they feel their wish fulfilled. They feel wealthy, loved, successful, healthy. They fall asleep in the most beautiful state of consciousness. And when they wake up in the morning, they check their reality immediately. They see the same old circumstances staring back at them. And in that moment, that crucial moment, they fall out of the state. It is not working, they think. Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe I am not good enough at this. Maybe my desire is not coming. They have left the state. And the moment they leave the state, they stop creating their desire and start creating doubt, lack, and more waiting. This is the cycle that traps 99% of students. They enter the state beautifully, but they cannot stay there. They are shaken out by circumstances, by time, by doubt, by impatience, by the opinions of others. But tonight, this cycle ends. Tonight, you learn how to stay in the state no matter what. Before I teach you how to stay in a state, you must understand what a state actually is. A state is not a mood. It is not an emotion. It is not a temporary feeling that comes and goes. A state is a complete constellation of consciousness. It is a total way of being. It is how you think, how you feel, what you assume, what you expect, what you take for granted, how you see yourself, how you see the world. Think of consciousness as a mansion with infinite rooms. Each room is a different state. The room of poverty is one state. The room of wealth is another state. The room of loneliness is one state. The room of love is another state. Each room, each state, is complete and self-contained. When you are in the room of poverty, everything in that room reflects poverty. Your thoughts are poverty thoughts. Your feelings are poverty feelings. Your assumptions are poverty assumptions. The view from the window shows a poverty world. When you move to the room of wealth, everything changes. Your thoughts become wealth thoughts. Your feelings become wealth feelings. Your assumptions become wealth assumptions. The view from the window shows a wealth world. You are always in some state. Always. You cannot not be in a state. The question is, which state are you occupying? And more importantly, how do you stay in the state you have chosen? Here is the first principle of staying in a state. You must know, not believe, but know that the state is real. The state of wealth is just as real as the state of poverty. The state of being loved is just as real as the state of being lonely. The state of health is just as real as the state of sickness. These are not fantasies. These are not imaginary. These are actual states of consciousness that exist right now. When you assume wealth, when you enter the state of being a wealthy person, You have not created something new. You have simply moved from one existing room to another existing room. The room of wealth was always there. You just were not occupying it. This understanding is crucial because it removes doubt. You are not trying to create a state. You are not trying to make something happen. You are simply choosing to occupy a state that already exists. And once you know the state is real, once you truly grasp that wealth, love, health, success all exist as actual states of consciousness right now, staying in that state becomes easier. You are not maintaining a fantasy. You are dwelling in a reality. The fact that the physical world has not yet reflected it is irrelevant. In consciousness, which is the only reality that creates, you are in that state. Now let me teach you the most important word in manifestation. Dwell. To dwell means to live, to reside, to make your home. You do not visit. You do not stop by occasionally. You dwell there. Most people visit their desired state. They go there during doing techniques for 20 minutes. They feel wonderful. Then they leave and return to their old state for the remaining 23 hours and 40 minutes. This is not dwelling. This is meditating. To manifest, you must dwell in your desired state. You must make it your home. You must live there. Think there, feel there, be there. Not for 20 minutes, but as your permanent residence. So, how do you dwell in a state? Let me show you. The moment you wake up, before you move, before you check the papers, before you think about your day, you choose where you will dwell today. In the drowsy state between sleep and waking, you are highly suggestible. This is your opportunity to establish your dwelling state for the day. Ask yourself, where am I dwelling today? In the state of having my desire, or in the state of lacking my desire? Then immediately assume the state of having your desire. Feel yourself to be that person. Not someday. Not when it manifests. Now. You are that person now. This takes 30 seconds. 30 seconds to set your dwelling for the entire day. Most people skip this step. They wake up and immediately return to whatever state they were in yesterday. Usually worry, lack, or wanting. They start their day in the wrong room. But you who are learning to stay in the state, you begin every single day by consciously choosing your dwelling. You wake up in the state of the wish fulfilled. This morning establishment creates momentum. It is much easier to stay in a state all day when you begin the day in that state. Here is the truth. During the day you will fall out of the state. Especially in the beginning. This is normal and expected. Someone will say something that triggers doubt. You will see a circumstance that contradicts your assumption. An old thought pattern will arise. And suddenly, without even realizing it, you will have left the state. This is not failure. This is simply the nature of learning a new habit. The key is not to never leave the state. The key is to notice quickly when you have left and to return immediately. Think of yourself as a guard watching the door of your consciousness. Your job is not to prevent every negative thought from knocking. Your job is to refuse to let them in and take up residence. If a negative thought arises, this is not working. You notice it immediately. You recognize, I have left the state. That is a thought from the old state of lack. And you choose, no, I am dwelling in the state of my wish fulfilled. I return there now. This is the practice, over and over throughout your day. Notice, return. Notice, return. At first you might fall out of the state dozens of times a day. But each time you notice and return, you are training your consciousness. You are making the desired state more natural, more automatic, more permanent. Eventually, and this happens faster than you think, the desired state becomes your default. You stop falling out because you have truly moved into that room and closed the door behind you. Let me reveal to you one of the most powerful secrets of staying in the state. Master your inner conversations. Right now in this moment, what are you saying to yourself about your desire? Are you saying, I hope this works? When will it come? I'm still waiting. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. What if it doesn't happen? These inner conversations are the language of the wrong state. Every time you think these thoughts, you are dwelling in the state of lack, waiting, and doubt. But when you stay in the desired state, your inner conversations change completely. It is done, this is mine, I am so grateful this is accomplished. I love having this is who I am. These are the inner conversations of someone dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. Your inner conversations are not random. They are not meaningless. They are the voice of the state you are dwelling in, and they are incredibly powerful in keeping you in that state, or pushing you out of it. Here is a practice that will transform your ability to stay in the state. Throughout your day, listen to your inner conversations. Not to judge them, not to fight them, simply to observe them. What are you saying to yourself about your desire? What are you saying to yourself about yourself? What are you saying to yourself about the world? And whenever you catch an inner conversation that belongs to the old state, stop it immediately. Do not engage with it. Do not argue with it. Simply stop it and replace it with the inner conversation that belongs to your desired state. Old conversation, I'm still broke. When will the money come? New conversation, I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. Old conversation, I still haven't heard from them. Maybe they don't love me. New conversation, I am loved and desired. This relationship is perfect. Old conversation, my body still has symptoms. What if I never heal? New conversation, I am healthy and whole. My body is strong and vital. This practice, catching and redirecting your inner conversations, is one of the most powerful tools for staying in the state. Why? Because your inner conversations are the constant background noise of your consciousness. If that background noise is negative, you cannot stay in a positive state. But when you change the background noise to match your desired state, staying in that state becomes natural and effortless. Now let me address something crucial. How do you deepen your faith in the state when you have not yet seen physical evidence? This is where most people struggle. They can assume their desire for a day, maybe a week, but as time passes with no physical manifestation, their faith weakens. Doubt creeps in. They begin to question whether the state is real, whether the law works, whether they are doing it right. Here is how you deepen faith, through experience in consciousness. You do not need physical evidence to know something is true. You need experiential evidence in consciousness. Let me explain. When you imagine yourself in your desired state, when you feel yourself to be wealthy or loved or healthy, that is an experience, not a physical experience, but a conscious experience. And conscious experience is just as real, just as valid, just as evidential as physical experience. The more you experience yourself in the desired state in imagination, the more real that state becomes to you. The more you dwell there in consciousness, the more faith you have that it is true. Think of it this way. If I tell you about a country you have never visited, you might believe me intellectually, but you do not know that country is real from experience. But if you visit that country in imagination, if you see it, hear it, smell it, feel it, experience it vividly and repeatedly, it becomes real to you. Not hypothetically real, experientially real. This is how you deepen faith. Not by waiting for physical proof, but by giving yourself repeated conscious experiences of dwelling in the desired state. Every time you feel your wish fulfilled, you are having an experience. Every time you assume your desire throughout the day, and think from that assumption, you are having an experience. Every time you imagine yourself as the person who has their desire, you are having an experience. These experiences accumulate. They build upon each other, and gradually, subtly, your faith deepens, not because you are trying to believe harder, but because you have experienced the state so many times that it has become real to you. This is why I say persist. Persist in dwelling in the state, not to convince God, not to make something happen, but to give yourself enough conscious experience of the state that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. Now let me teach you how to handle the inevitable moments of doubt. Doubt will come. Even when you are dwelling beautifully in your desired state, even when you are doing everything right, doubt will knock on the door. But it's been 3 weeks and nothing has changed. But I still don't see any evidence. But what if this doesn't work for me? But my circumstances are getting worse, not better. These doubts are not signs that you are failing. They are not signs that the law does not work. They are simply the old state trying to reclaim you. Remember, you are moving from one state to another. The old state does not want to let you go. It will send doubts, fears, and contradictions to pull you back. How do you handle these doubt attacks? Not by fighting them. Not by getting upset that you are doubting, but by recognizing what they are and refusing to entertain them. When doubt appears, here is what you do. Step 1. Recognize it. There is doubt. There is the old state trying to reclaim me. Step 2. Refuse to entertain it. Do not argue with the doubt. Do not try to prove it wrong. Do not engage with it at all. Simply refuse to give it your attention. Step 3. Return to your assumption. Immediately return to the state of the wish fulfilled. Feel it, know it, dwell in it. Think of doubt as a wave. If you stand firm, if you remain rooted in your assumption, the wave crashes against you and then recedes. It has no power unless you give it power by entertaining it. But if you engage with the doubt, if you follow its logic, if you let it pull you into questioning and analyzing and worrying, you have been swept away by the wave. You have left your state. Stay rooted. Let the doubts come and go like waves. You remain unmoved in your assumption. Let me give you 3 anchors, 3 practices that will keep you firmly rooted in your state, even when everything seems to be working against you. Anchor number 1, the feeling. Throughout your day, return again and again to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Not once a day, not just during techniques. Throughout your day, every hour if necessary. Stop for 30 seconds. Close your eyes if you can, or just become still if you cannot, and feel yourself to be the person who has their desire. Feel wealthy, feel loved, feel healthy, feel successful. Whatever your desire is, feel the reality of being that person. This feeling is your anchor. When doubt comes, when circumstances scream at you, when time seems to be working against you, return to the feeling. The feeling reconnects you to the state instantly. Make this a practice. Every hour, return to the feeling for 30 seconds. This constant returning to the feeling keeps you anchored in the state. You cannot drift far when you are returning to port every hour. Anchor number 2. Gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for staying in the state, because gratitude assumes possession. You do not thank someone for something you do not have. You thank them for something you have received. When you practice gratitude for your desire, as though it is already yours, as though it is already done, you are assuming the end. An assumption is the state. Throughout your day, be grateful for your desire. Thank you for my wealth. Thank you for this perfect relationship. Thank you for my health. Thank you that this is done. Not thank you that it will come, but thank you that it is. This gratitude keeps you anchored in the state of already having. It is impossible to be grateful for something and simultaneously believe you do not have it. Gratitude and lack cannot coexist. Anchor number 3, revision. Every evening before you do your state akin to sleep practice, take 5 minutes to revise your day. Think back through your day. Where did you fall out of the state? What moments triggered doubt or fear or old thinking? And revise those moments. Replay them in your imagination, but this time you respond from your desired state. Did someone say something that made you doubt? Revise it. Imagine yourself hearing their words and remaining completely unmoved in your assumption. Did you check your bank account and feel fear? Revise it. Imagine yourself checking your account and feeling complete peace because you know you are wealthy in consciousness. Did circumstances contradict your assumption? Revise them. Imagine yourself seeing those circumstances and simply smiling, knowing the mirror is showing the old reflection while the new reality is already established in consciousness. This nightly revision serves 2 purposes. First, it clears any damage done during the day. You are literally rewriting the day so that in consciousness you remained in the state perfectly. Second, it trains you. Each time you revise a moment where you fell out of the state, you are teaching yourself how to respond correctly. You are rehearsing staying in the state. And tomorrow, when a similar situation arises, you will be more likely to stay rooted because you have practiced it in revision. Now let me tell you how you will know you have truly learned to stay in the state. There is a test, and it is called Sabbath. Sabbath means rest. It means you have done your work, and now you rest in the knowledge that it is finished. When you can imagine your desire, assume your desire, dwell in the state of your desire, and then let it go. Not abandon it, not forget it, but simply rest in the knowing that it is done, without anxious checking, without desperate hoping, without constant analyzing. When you reach this point, when you can plant the seed in consciousness and then rest, trusting the harvest, you have mastered staying in the state. This is the ultimate test. Can you assume your desire and then go about your life naturally, peacefully, without the need to constantly monitor whether it is working? If you cannot rest, if you are constantly checking for signs and evidence and proof, you have not truly stayed in the state. You are still reaching toward your desire rather than dwelling in possession of it. But when you can rest, when you can wake up in the morning and go about your day as the person who has their desire, not thinking about when it will come but simply being who you are, you have entered Sabbath. And in Sabbath, the harvest comes quickly. Here is how you know you are staying in the state successfully. When your desire becomes natural, not exciting, not special, not something you think about constantly. Natural, normal, ordinary. Think about things you already have. Do you think about them all day? Do you get excited every time you remember them? Do you hope they stay with you? No. They are simply yours. They are so naturally yours that you take them for granted. When your desire reaches this quality, when it feels so natural to be wealthy, to be loved, to be healthy, to be successful, that you almost forget you are manifesting it. You are dwelling in the state perfectly. This naturalness is the sign that you have truly moved rooms. You are no longer visiting the state of wealth. You are living there. You are no longer hoping for love. You are being loved. You are no longer trying to be successful. You are successful, and it is so normal that it barely registers. When you reach this naturalness, the physical manifestation is imminent. Why? Because naturalness means there is no more resistance, no more doubt, no more split consciousness. You are completely, totally, fully in the state. And the physical world must reflect a state that is occupied so completely. Let me tell you the ultimate truth about staying in the state. It is not about perfection. You will fall out of the state sometimes. You will doubt sometimes. You will be shaken sometimes. This is human. This is normal. This does not mean you have failed. Staying in the state is not about never leaving. It is about returning quickly when you notice you have left. It is about dwelling more in the desired state than in the old state. It is about making the desired state your home, even if you occasionally take trips back to the old state. Over time, those trips become shorter and less frequent. Over time, the desired state becomes so natural that you hardly ever leave. Over time, staying in the state becomes effortless because you are no longer trying to stay. You simply are. This is mastery, not perfection, not rigid control, but natural, easy dwelling in the state of your wish fulfilled. Right now, in this moment, choose your state. Where will you dwell? In the state of having your desire or in the state of lacking your desire? Choose now. Assume now. Feel now. You are the person who has their desire, not someday. Now, in consciousness, in the only reality that creates. And from this moment forward, your only job is to stay there, to dwell there, to make that state your home. When you fall out, return immediately. When doubt comes, let it pass without engaging. When circumstances contradict, remember they are the old mirror. Stay in the state. Dwell in the state. Live in the state. Do this, and I promise you, as surely as the sun rises, your desire will harden into fact. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because you became it in consciousness first. And the physical world had no choice but to reflect the state you dwelled in. Stay in the state, my friends. It is the whole law in 4 words. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.
Listen closely, for I am about to reveal something that will change everything you believe about yourself and your place in this world. There exists a secret that the truly magnetic understand, those who never beg, never chase, never diminish themselves for crumbs of attention. They know something you have forgotten. You see, my friend, you have been living as though you are a beggar in the marketplace of life, desperately holding out your cup, hoping someone will drop a coin of recognition into it. But what you fail to realize is that you are the marketplace. You are not the beggar, you are the treasure everyone seeks. Tonight I'm going to show you how to awaken from this poverty consciousness and step into your true nature as the prize itself. But more than that, I'm going to show you the exact mental techniques that will transform you from someone who begs to be chosen into someone who chooses. For years, you have operated under a fundamental misunderstanding. You have believed that your worth is something external, something to be proven, earned, validated by others. This is the great lie that keeps you small. Let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. Every single person who has ever made you feel less was unconsciously reflecting back to you your own inner poverty. They sensed your need, your desperation, your hunger for validation, and instinctively, they withdrew. Not because they are cruel, but because neediness repels, while self-possession attracts. In your imagination, and remember, imagination is the creative power of God within you. You have seen yourself as lacking, as incomplete, as someone who needs another's approval to be whole. But I ask you, when you look in the mirror of your mind, do you see a beggar or a king? The truth is this: every person you encounter is simply a reflection of the state you occupy within yourself. When you assume the feeling of being chosen, of being valuable, of being someone whose very presence is a gift, the world mirrors this back to you without fail. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next will completely transform how you move through the world. There is an ancient secret that the mystics knew, that royalty understood instinctively, that the truly powerful have always embodied: the secret of self-possession. When you possess yourself completely, your emotions, your energy, your attention, you become a force that others naturally want to orbit around. Think of the most magnetic person you've ever encountered. I guarantee you, they had this quality. They weren't trying to impress anyone. They weren't performing for approval. They simply were, completely, authentically, unapologetically themselves. And in that authentic presence, they became irresistible. But here's what most people don't understand. This quality isn't something you're born with or without. It's a state of consciousness you can cultivate. It's a way of being you can learn. And once you master it, your entire life transforms. There is a state of consciousness, let's call it the state of inner royalty, that you must learn to inhabit. In this state, you do not question your worth any more than the sun questions its right to shine. You simply are. When you truly occupy this state, something remarkable happens. You stop performing for others' approval. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Instead, you move through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their value is not up for debate. I have observed this phenomenon countless times. The person who needs nothing from others receives everything. The person who can walk away maintains all the power. The person who values their own company finds themselves surrounded by those who recognize quality. But here's what most people don't understand. This is not about becoming cold or distant. This is about becoming so full of your own divine nature that you overflow with genuine presence, not desperate need. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this perfectly. I once knew a woman who transformed her entire social circle simply by changing her inner state. She had been the one everyone called when they needed something. A shoulder to cry on, money to borrow, someone to listen to their problems. She was always available, always giving, always there. And yet she felt invisible. She felt taken for granted. She felt like an option, not a priority. Here's what she did that changed everything. And you can do this too. This woman decided to conduct an experiment for 40 days. Instead of assuming she was someone who needed to give to be valued, she began to assume she was someone whose very presence was valuable. Every morning she would spend 10 minutes imagining herself as someone who was naturally cherished, respected, and sought after. She didn't change her external behavior dramatically. She simply changed her inner assumption about herself. And within 2 weeks everything shifted. The people who had been taking her for granted began reaching out more intentionally. New people entered her life who treated her with the respect she had been giving herself internally. By the end of 40 days, her entire social reality had transformed. But here's the key. She didn't try to change others. She changed her concept of herself, and others responded to that change automatically. This is the power of assumption. This is the law of consciousness, made manifest. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you are a rare diamond. Now, does this diamond chase after people, begging them to recognize its brilliance? Does it diminish its sparkle to make cheaper stones feel better about themselves? Of course not. It simply exists in its perfect state, and those with eyes to see are naturally drawn to its beauty. This is what I call sacred detachment. The ability to love without clinging, to care without losing yourself, to desire without desperation. When you master this art, you become magnetic in a way that cannot be manufactured or faked. Sacred detachment is not indifference. It's not coldness. It's not playing hard to get. It's something far more profound. It's the recognition that your completeness doesn't depend on anyone else's participation in your life. When you are complete within yourself, others sense this wholeness and are drawn to it. They want to be part of something whole, rather than trying to fill someone's emptiness. But here's where most people go wrong. And if you're making this mistake, everything I've shared so far won't work. Many people, when they first hear about detachment, make a crucial error. They try to detach by building walls, by becoming cold, by pretending not to care. This is false detachment, and it actually pushes people away, not because of your power, but because of your fear. True detachment comes from love. Love of yourself, love of life, love of truth. It comes from being so full that you don't need to extract anything from others to feel complete. False detachment comes from hurt. Hurt that masquerades as strength. Pain that pretends to be power. The difference is this. True detachment attracts because it feels like freedom. False detachment repels because it feels like a prison. You see, many people confuse detachment with indifference. They think being unavailable means being cold or playing games. But true detachment comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness. It comes from loving yourself so completely that you no longer need to extract love from others to feel whole. When you truly love yourself, not in a narcissistic way, but in a divine way, recognizing yourself as a magnificent expression of the infinite, you create what I call a magnetic field of self-love. This field draws to you experiences and people that match your level of self-regard. Think of it this way. If you were a radio station, what frequency would you be broadcasting? Would it be the frequency of please love me, or would it be the frequency of I am love itself? The frequency you broadcast is the frequency you receive back. Most people are broadcasting need, lack, desperation, and then they wonder why they attract people who are unavailable, uncommitted, or disrespectful. But when you broadcast completeness, wholeness, self-love, you attract people who recognize and match that energy. Here's a practical technique I want you to master. Every morning, before you interact with anyone, I want you to tune into your inner frequency. Ask yourself, what am I broadcasting right now? Am I broadcasting need or wholeness? Am I broadcasting desperation or completion? If you sense that you're broadcasting from a place of lack, if you're hoping this day will bring you the validation you crave, if you're anxious about whether someone will text you back, if you're looking for others to fill the emptiness inside you, then stop. Don't go into the world broadcasting that frequency. Instead, spend time filling yourself up, not with external things, but with the recognition of your own divine nature. Feel what it's like to be completely loved by the universe itself. Feel what it's like to be someone whose very existence is precious and valuable. Only when you're broadcasting wholeness should you engage with others. This single shift will transform every interaction you have. Now I want you to understand something crucial about the nature of reality. Everything you experience in your outer world is a direct result of the assumptions you hold about yourself in your inner world. If you assume you are an option, the world will treat you as such. If you assume you are indispensable, that too will be reflected back to you. This is not positive thinking or wishful fantasy. This is spiritual law. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is its projection. So I ask you, what have you been assuming about yourself? Have you been living in the assumption that you must prove your worth, that you must earn love, that you must compete for attention? If so, you have been creating from a state of lack, and lack is all that can be returned to you. But assumptions can be changed. And when you change your assumptions about yourself, you literally change your reality. What I'm about to tell you next might sound impossible, but I assure you, it's the most practical thing you'll ever learn. There are 3 sacred assumptions that will transform your life if you embody them completely. First, sacred assumption. I am inherently valuable, not because of what you do, not because of what you achieve, not because of who validates you. You are valuable because you exist. You are valuable because consciousness itself chose to express through you. This assumption must become as natural to you as breathing. Second sacred assumption. My presence is a gift. When you enter a room, you are not hoping to receive something. You are bringing something. Your energy, your consciousness, your unique perspective, these are gifts you bring to any interaction. Feel this truth until it becomes automatic. Third sacred assumption. I choose, I am not chosen. You are not at the mercy of others' decisions about you. You are not waiting to be picked. You are the one doing the selecting. You are the one deciding who gets access to your energy, your time, your presence. When these 3 assumptions become your natural state, everything changes. You stop being a seeker and become a selector. You stop being needy and become magnetic. Here's something I want you to try tonight. Before you sleep, I want you to revise your day, not just the events, but your entire relationship to yourself throughout those events. Remember that moment when you felt ignored. Revise it. See yourself as someone whose presence commanded attention, not through effort, but through natural magnetism. Remember when you felt like you were chasing. Revise it. See yourself as someone so centered in their own worth that others are drawn to orbit around your energy. But don't just revise the external events. Revise your internal state. Revise how you felt about yourself in those moments. Instead of feeling needy, feel complete. Instead of feeling desperate, feel centered. Instead of feeling like you're not enough, feel like you are more than enough. This is not self-deception. This is training your consciousness to occupy the state of the person you are meant to be. And as you persist in this assumption, your outer world must conform to match it. The person who knows they are valuable stops acting from scarcity. They stop overgiving. They stop tolerating disrespect. They stop being available to everyone and start being precious to the few who truly see them. And here's a secret that will accelerate your transformation. The secret of mental rehearsal. Before any important interaction, before a date, before a meeting, before any social situation, spend time mentally rehearsing from your new state. But don't rehearse what you'll say or do. Rehearse who you'll be. See yourself moving through that interaction as someone who knows their worth. Feel what it's like to be completely comfortable in your own skin. Imagine the other person responding to your energy of self-possession with respect and interest. This isn't about manipulating outcomes. This is about training yourself to naturally embody the state of someone who is valued and respected. And when you consistently embody that state, it becomes your reality. There is something deeply attractive about a person who possesses themselves completely. They do not leak their energy in desperate attempts to be seen. They do not scatter their attention among those who barely notice. Instead, they contain their power like a vessel holds water, full, complete, overflowing only when they choose to pour. I have noticed that people are drawn to mystery, to depth, to that which cannot be easily grasped or controlled. When you become self-possessed, you naturally become mysterious. Not because you're trying to hide, but because you're no longer trying to expose everything about yourself to gain approval. Here's the paradox that will change everything for you. The more you need to be chosen, the less likely you are to be chosen. The more you need to be seen, the more invisible you become. But the moment you withdraw your need from others and become complete within yourself, you become irresistible. This is because people are unconsciously drawn to wholeness. They can sense when someone is not trying to get something from them, and this absence of neediness creates space for genuine connection to emerge. Think about it this way. When someone is desperately trying to get something from you, your approval, your attention, your validation, how does it feel? It feels heavy, draining, uncomfortable. You instinctively want to pull away. But when someone is complete within themselves, when they're not trying to extract anything from you, when they're simply present and authentic, how does that feel? It feels refreshing, inspiring, magnetic. You want to be around that energy. This is the paradox. The less you need from others, the more they want to give to you. I want you to conduct what I call an energy audit of your life. Look at your relationships, your interactions, your daily habits, and ask yourself, am I giving my energy away freely, or am I being selective about how I invest it? Most people are energy spendthrifts. They give their attention to anyone who asks for it. They engage with every drama, respond to every demand, make themselves available to every person who shows even slight interest. And then they wonder why they feel drained and undervalued. But valuable things are scarce. If your energy is available to everyone, it becomes worthless. If your attention can be captured by anyone, it loses its power. If your presence is guaranteed regardless of how you're treated, it stops being precious. The energy audit will show you where you've been undervaluing yourself. Once you see this clearly, you can begin to make different choices. The next principle I'm going to share is so powerful, it can change your life in 24 hours. Here's a challenge that will immediately shift how others perceive you. For the next 24 hours, I want you to act as if you are already the most valued person in your own life. Not arrogantly, not rudely, but with quiet dignity. This means you don't explain your decisions to people who haven't earned that level of intimacy with you. You don't argue with anyone about your worth or try to convince them to see your value. You don't make yourself available to everyone who demands your attention. You don't settle for treatment that doesn't match your inner dignity. You speak to yourself with the same respect you would show to someone you deeply admire. For just 24 hours, live as if you already know you're valuable. See what happens. I guarantee you'll be surprised by how differently people respond to you. Here's something beautiful I want you to understand. You don't have to earn love. Love is your natural state. You are love expressing itself in human form. The only reason you feel unloved is because you have forgotten this truth and have been looking for it in all the wrong places. When you assume you are love, not that you need love, but that you are love, your entire energy shifts. You stop being a seeker and become a source. People feel this shift immediately. They are drawn to your energy because it feels like coming home to themselves. But this assumption must be cultivated. It must be practiced. It must become as natural as breathing. Every morning when you wake, and every evening before you sleep, I want you to do this practice. Close your eyes and assume you are completely loved by the universe itself. Not conditionally loved based on your behavior or achievements, but unconditionally loved simply because you exist. Feel this love surrounding you like warm sunlight. As you feel this universal love, begin to extend that same love to yourself. Love yourself the way the universe loves you, completely, unconditionally, without reservation. From this state of being filled with love, imagine moving through your day. See yourself interacting with others, not from a place of need, but from a place of overflow. You're not trying to get love from them because you're already full of love. Practice this faithfully for 30 days, and watch how your relationships transform. When you stop seeking love and start being love, everything changes. When you truly understand your worth, chasing becomes impossible. Not because you've decided not to chase, but because the very idea of chasing feels foreign to who you are. Lions don't chase mice. The sun doesn't chase the planets. They simply exist in their power, and everything else responds accordingly. This is the state I want you to reach, not through force or effort, but through recognition. Recognition that you have always been enough. Recognition that you have value is not dependent on anyone else's acknowledgement. Recognition that you are the prize, and the right people will be honored to receive you. But let me be clear about what I mean by not chasing. I don't mean becoming passive or uninvolved in life. I mean operating from a place of fullness rather than emptiness, from wholeness rather than need. When you're complete within yourself, you can pursue what you want without desperation. You can express interest without neediness. You can take action without attachment to outcomes. This is the difference between inspired action and desperate chasing. Remember this always. Everyone in your life is reflecting back to you the relationship you have with yourself. The person who takes you for granted, they're showing you where you take yourself for granted. The person who doesn't see your worth, they're reflecting back areas where you don't see your own worth. This principle is both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it means you can't blame others for how they treat you. They're only mirroring your inner state. Empowering because it means you have complete control over how you're treated. By changing your relationship with yourself. When someone disrespects you, instead of getting angry at them, ask yourself, where am I disrespecting myself? When someone ignores you, ask, where am I ignoring my own needs? When someone treats you as an option, ask, where am I treating myself as an option? This is why changing others is impossible, but changing yourself changes everything. When you truly value yourself, you will only attract and accept people who value you. When you truly love yourself, you will only engage with love. When you truly respect yourself, respect is all that will be offered to you. There is a state of consciousness where you feel complete within yourself. In this state, other people become bonuses to your life, not necessities. Relationships become choices, not needs. Love becomes an overflow, not a requirement. From this state of completion, you naturally become selective. Not because you're trying to be difficult, but because you can feel the difference between what nourishes you and what depletes you. You can sense who sees you clearly and who projects their fantasies onto you. This state of completion doesn't mean you don't desire connection with others. It means you don't need connection to feel whole. And paradoxically, this makes you much more attractive to others, because neediness repels while wholeness attracts. To cultivate this state, you must learn to be excellent company for yourself. You must enjoy your own thoughts, appreciate your own humor, find your own presence engaging. When you genuinely enjoy being alone with yourself, others will enjoy being with you too. As you begin to embody these truths, as you step into the state of knowing your worth, you will notice changes. Some people will fall away from your life. Those who were only there to consume your energy. Don't mourn their departure. Celebrate your freedom. Others will begin to treat you differently. They will seek your approval instead of you seeking theirs. They will compete for your attention instead of you fighting for recognition. They will value your time because you have shown them it's valuable. New people will enter your experience. People who match your new level of self-respect and self-love. These relationships will feel different, deeper, more authentic, because they're built on truth rather than need. But the most profound transformation will be internal. You'll stop waking up anxious about whether you're liked. You'll stop checking your phone desperately for validation. You'll stop analyzing every interaction for signs of approval or rejection. Instead, you'll wake up centered in your own worth. You'll move through your day from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. You'll engage with others from curiosity and care rather than need and desperation. This is your moment of choice. You can continue living as you have, seeking validation, chasing approval, diminishing yourself for crumbs of recognition, or you can step into the truth of who you really are. Someone so inherently valuable that your very existence is a gift to this world. The techniques I've shared are not theories to be pondered, but practices to be lived. Your transformation begins the moment you decide to see yourself as the universe sees you, as perfect, complete, and infinitely worthy of love. So I leave you with this. Stop asking to be chosen. Start choosing. Stop seeking to be seen. Start being so magnificently yourself that you cannot be ignored. The world has been waiting for you to remember who you are. Now go forth and claim your throne. It has been waiting for you all along. Right now, as you're listening this, there's another version of you making completely different choices. They're living the life you've always dreamed of, or perhaps facing challenges you can't even imagine. But here's the mind-bending part. They're trying to reach you. Let your mind drift beyond this room, beyond this day, beyond the version of yourself you know so well. Imagine that somewhere right now, there's not just one other you, but a countless multitude, each living out a life shaped by choices you never made, dreams you never pursued, or fears you overcame long ago. Picture it. In one reality, you are standing on a mountaintop, wind in your hair, a life of freedom and adventure your daily norm. In another, you're sitting by a warm fire in a cozy cottage, surrounded by a family that feels like home. In yet another, you're standing on a stage, your voice carrying a message that changes lives. Some versions are not so different from your life now. Others are so radically free, abundant, or wise that they almost feel like fantasy. And yet, they are real. Each possibility exists as a thread woven into the vast, shimmering tapestry of the multiverse. Every time you wonder, what if? Every time you dream, if only I'd. Every choice you almost made but didn't. Somewhere, some version of you did. And what if I told you that every strange coincidence, every moment of déjà vu, every vivid dream that felt too real isn't random at all? What if these are actually messages, cosmic breadcrumbs left by alternate versions of yourself across infinite realities? This isn't science fiction. Quantum physics has shattered our understanding of reality, revealing that what we experience is just one thread in an infinite tapestry of possibilities. And the most extraordinary part, all these versions of you are connected by an invisible web of consciousness that transcends time and space. But why does this matter now, here in the quiet hush of your own awareness? Because these other selves are not lost, distant shadows. They are alive within you, whispering, guiding, nudging you toward your highest potential every single day. Some call it parallel universes. Some call it the quantum field. Some call it the infinite soul. But at the heart of it all is a simple truth. You are so much more than you have been taught to believe. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are standing at the doorway between these infinite selves. You hold the key to shift from the reality you see to the one you truly desire. This isn't just spiritual daydreaming. Modern physics has peered into the strange, shimmering dance of the quantum world and found that reality, at its deepest level, is not fixed and solid, but fluid and flexible. Particles flicker in and out of existence. One particle can exist in many places at once, until you look at it, and it chooses where to be. And what is true of particles is true of everything built from them, which means it's true of you. The concept of parallel realities isn't just spiritual philosophy. It's grounded in cutting-edge quantum physics. The theory of quantum superposition reveals that at the fundamental level of reality, particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed. This means that on the deepest level of existence, all possible realities are happening at once. Picture this. With every decision you make, whether to take that job, move to that city, speak to that stranger, or even what to eat for breakfast. Reality splits like a cosmic fork in the road. In one timeline, you said yes. In another, you said no. Each choice creates a new branch where a different version of you lives out that decision, experiencing all the consequences and possibilities that follow. Some of these parallel selves are living extraordinary lives beyond your wildest dreams. Others are facing challenges that would test the very limits of human endurance. But all of them, every single version, shares something profound with you, an unbreakable connection through the fabric of consciousness itself. But here's where it gets fascinating. These parallel selves aren't isolated islands drifting in an ocean of possibility. They're all connected through what scientists call the quantum field, a vast ocean of consciousness where all possibilities exist simultaneously. And sometimes, just sometimes, these other versions of you find ways to break through the dimensional barriers to send you messages. What's truly extraordinary is that these multiple realities aren't just theoretical. They're actively interconnected. The consciousness that creates them maintains connections between all versions, allowing for communication and influence across dimensional boundaries. This is why you can receive guidance from a version of yourself that has already overcome the challenges you're currently facing. Think back to a moment in your life when you stood at a crossroads. Maybe it was a job you almost took, but didn't. A relationship you walked away from, or wished you hadn't. A chance you were too afraid to leap for. Imagine that, in another thread of reality, you made the opposite choice. How might your life be different? What kind of person would you be now? More courageous, more free, more joyful, or maybe carrying different burdens you were spared here? The beauty is, these other selves are not just echoes. They are alive within your field. They hold memories, lessons, strength, and inspiration that you can access. And the bridge to reach them is your consciousness. Your parallel selves speak in a language older than words, more subtle than thoughts, and more powerful than any technology we've ever created. They speak in symbols, dreams, intuitions, and tiny twists of fate we call coincidences. Think of déjà vu, that uncanny feeling you've done this before, in this exact way. That eerie feeling of I've been here before isn't a glitch in your brain. It's a memory leak from another timeline. For a split second, the barriers between realities become permeable, and you're experiencing an echo of what another version of you has already lived through. What if in that moment, your timeline brushed up against another, and you glimpsed a memory from a parallel self? These moments of déjà vu are actually brief glimpses into the experiences of your parallel selves. It's as if the dimensional walls become transparent for just an instant, allowing you to peek through and witness a scene that another version of you has already played out. The feeling of familiarity you experience is your consciousness recognizing its own energy signature from across the dimensional divide. When the same number appears everywhere you look, when chance encounters feel orchestrated by an invisible hand, when life seems to be conspiring to get your attention, that's not coincidence. It's your parallel self using the universe as a messaging system, dropping hints about the path you should take. Or synchronicities, those same phrases echoing on a billboard, a song that plays just as you're wondering about something deeply important. These are not random, they are breadcrumbs. Little winks from the universe, or from your parallel selves, nudging you. Pay attention, you're not alone. These synchronicities serve as a sophisticated communication network between realities. Imagine a version of you who has already made the career change you're contemplating, now living successfully in that new reality. This version of you might guide your attention to specific symbols, numbers, or events that appeared in their own journey toward that successful transition. For instance, you might start noticing a particular word or phrase everywhere, in magazines, in conversations, on social media, right when you're considering a major life change. This repetitive appearance isn't random. It's a version of you from a reality where this symbol played a significant role in their transformation, now using it as a beacon to guide your steps. And then there are your dreams, those wild journeys where your mind roams free. Many mystics believe dreams are not fantasy, but portals, windows, where your soul travels to meet other selves, learning what they know, bringing back wisdom if you're willing to listen. Your dreams aren't just random neural firings or subconscious processing. They're windows into other realities, particularly those vivid dreams that feel more real than waking life itself. These dreams often carry the emotional weight and crystal clear details that distinguish them from ordinary dreams. When you dream of living a completely different life, meeting people you've never encountered in waking reality, or experiencing situations that feel simultaneously foreign and familiar, you're likely accessing the experiences of your parallel selves. These dream bridges allow you to witness and even participate in the lives of other versions of yourself. Lucid dreaming takes this communication to an even deeper level. When you become aware that you're dreaming and can control the experience, you're essentially opening a direct communication channel with your parallel selves. In these lucid states, you can consciously explore alternative realities, learn from the experiences of other versions of yourself, and even receive direct guidance about your current life path. And what about that subtle sense that reality feels off? Maybe you wake up one day and your favorite food tastes bland. You look around your home and feel like a guest in your own life. You walk into a familiar place that feels slightly wrong, the air heavy, the vibe strange. Ever feel like you don't belong in your current reality? Like you've somehow shifted into the wrong timeline, or that your surroundings don't quite match your inner sense of where you should be? This unsettling sensation, often described as feeling out of time or out of place, occurs when you're temporarily tuned into a parallel version of yourself. Some call this a glitch in the matrix. But what if it's really a sign that you've shifted, even if only for a moment, to a different version of you? Sometimes these shifts happen gently through healing, growth, or conscious choice. Other times they're sudden, triggered by intense emotion or trauma, when your soul jumps to a reality better suited to your vibration. This displacement effect often occurs when you're at a crossroads in your life, contemplating major decisions or changes. It's as if your consciousness is sampling different possible futures, briefly experiencing the energy of realities where you've made different choices. This sampling process helps you navigate your current decisions by giving you a preview of where different paths might lead. Your strongest bridge to these other selves is your intuition, that quiet inner voice you sometimes ignore in favor of logic. But when you truly listen, you'll notice intuition speaks in nudges, sudden knowing, and the quiet pull that defies explanation. It's your higher self or your parallel self whispering, "This is your path. Trust it." Those sudden, unexplainable urges to change direction in your life, that inner voice that guides you towards something without any logical reason. That's your parallel self, who's already made that change successfully, beaming wisdom directly into your consciousness. These intuitive downloads can manifest as irresistible feelings that something needs to be done, even when you can't articulate why. It's as if a part of you in another reality, where the choice has already been made and the outcome is known, is sending you a message to act in a specific way. Sometimes these downloads appear as sudden behavioral changes, where you start adopting new habits, interests, or routines, without fully understanding their origin. You might find yourself drawn to activities you've never considered before, or you might spontaneously change your daily patterns in ways that seem to come from somewhere deep within. These changes often reflect the influence of a parallel version of yourself who has already integrated these behaviors and is now projecting that energy into your current life. By remaining open to these intuitive nudges and behavioral shifts, you're allowing the wisdom of your parallel selves to guide your evolution. Next time you feel that inner tug to reach out to someone you haven't thought of in years, do it. When you feel the urge to turn left instead of right, take the turn. These tiny choices can shift your entire timeline, aligning you with a version of your life where doors open effortlessly. Everything in existence vibrates at a specific frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions all emit energy signatures that determine which reality you experience and which parallel versions of yourself you can connect with. Want to communicate with a more successful version of yourself? You need to match their frequency. But to truly tune in, to merge with the highest, wisest, most abundant version of yourself, you must become a vibrational match. Everything in this universe is frequency. The version of you living in harmony, love, abundance, and peace exists at a higher vibration than fear, lack, or doubt. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take, creates a specific vibration that resonates with certain realities while remaining disconnected from others. When we talk about parallel realities, we're essentially describing different vibrational states that coexist simultaneously in the quantum field. The version of you that lives a life of abundance and inner peace, for example, vibrates at a higher frequency that naturally attracts experiences of prosperity and harmony. To align with this version, you need to understand that vibrational frequency isn't fixed. It can be consciously raised or lowered based on the quality of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. So ask yourself, what thoughts do I think most often? What emotions do I feed daily? Do they match the reality I desire? Now I will give you 4 basic techniques for raising your vibration and connecting with your higher parallel selves. Number 1. Gratitude. Gratitude tunes you into timelines where abundance flows naturally. When you cultivate genuine appreciation for what you have, you align your energy with realities where abundance is a constant presence. Gratitude is the shortcut. Number 2. Forgiveness. Forgiveness aligns you with versions who found peace. Releasing resentment and anger frees up enormous amounts of energy that can be redirected toward connecting with your most harmonious parallel selves. Forgiveness is the unlock code. Number 3. Compassion. Compassion connects you to your most evolved selves. By extending understanding and kindness to others, you raise your frequency to match versions of yourself who operate from love rather than fear. Number 4. Joy. Joy bridges you to realities where happiness is your default state. Actively cultivating moments of joy, no matter how small, creates a resonance with timelines where fulfillment is your natural experience. Joy is the magnet. The more you cultivate these frequencies, the more you slip into timelines where your best self already lives. Now, here are the best ways to strengthen your connection with your parallel selves. Number 1. The documentation method. When signs start appearing from your parallel selves, the first reaction might be doubt or confusion. These messages don't always come in clear, obvious forms. They often arrive as subtle nudges, strange coincidences, or feelings that seem to come from nowhere. The key to interpreting these signs lies in developing conscious observation skills and learning to trust your intuition. Document every strange coincidence, every meaningful dream, every moment of displaced feeling, every synchronicity that catches your attention. Don't dismiss anything as just coincidence. Instead, write it down and reflect on its possible significance. Over time, patterns will emerge from these recorded experiences. These patterns are your roadmap to understanding the specific ways your parallel selves prefer to communicate with you. Some versions of you might favor dream communication, while others might use synchronicities or intuitive downloads as their primary method of contact. For example, if you consistently dream about a particular place or person, it could be an indication that a version of you in another reality is trying to guide you toward a similar experience in your current life. The details matter. Pay attention to the emotions you feel in these dreams, the specific locations, the people involved, and the overall atmosphere. Number 2. The meditation gateway. In deep meditation, the barriers between realities become paper thin. This is when you can establish the clearest communication channels with your parallel selves. During meditation, focus on any signs or messages you've received, and allow your intuition to guide you toward their deeper meaning. Ask your parallel selves direct questions during these meditative states. The answers might not come in words, but in feelings, images, sudden insights, or a profound sense of knowing. Sometimes the guidance comes as a physical sensation, a feeling of expansion when you're on the right track, or a sense of contraction when you're moving away from your optimal path. Set aside time each day to quiet your mind and open yourself to receive guidance from your parallel selves. The consistency of this practice will strengthen your ability to perceive and interpret their messages. Number 3. Mirror work. Look into your own eyes. Speak affirmations as if you are already that highest version. I am abundant. I am free. I am love. This reprograms your vibration to match your desired reality. But go deeper than simple affirmations. Look into your eyes and ask, what do you need to tell me? Sometimes the version of you looking back has wisdom to share. Notice any thoughts, feelings, or insights that arise during this practice. Try different variations. Speak to your past self with compassion. Speak to your future self with curiosity. Speak to your parallel selves with openness. Each conversation opens different channels of communication. When signs start appearing from your parallel selves, the first reaction might be doubt or confusion. These messages don't always come in clear, obvious forms. They often arrive as subtle nudges, strange coincidences, or feelings that seem to come from nowhere. The key to interpreting these signs lies in developing conscious observation skills and learning to trust your intuition. Practice what I call conscious noticing. Throughout your day, maintain a gentle awareness of your surroundings, your thoughts, and your feelings. When something catches your attention in an unusual way, pause and ask, what might this mean? What is this trying to tell me? Learn to feel the difference between random events and meaningful synchronicities. Meaningful synchronicities often have an emotional charge. They make you feel something, whether it's excitement, curiosity, or a sense of significance. Random events feel neutral, while synchronicities feel alive with possibility. Applying the messages you receive from your parallel versions means being open to new ways of acting, thinking, and feeling. If a parallel version of yourself is guiding you to take a specific path, consider how you can adapt that guidance to your current circumstances and reality. For example, if you feel a strong intuition to change careers, even if it seems scary or impractical, this could be guidance from a version of yourself who has already made that transition successfully. They understand the challenges and rewards that await you, and their encouragement is based on actual experience of living that choice. Another practical example might be the persistent feeling that you should explore a new hobby, skill, or area of study. This feeling could be a message from a version of yourself who has already mastered this area and is experiencing great joy and fulfillment through it. When you follow this guidance, you're not just expanding your capabilities, you're also connecting more deeply with that accomplished parallel version of yourself. The process of aligning with your parallel versions and applying their messages in your daily life can be seen as a path of personal and spiritual evolution. Each new understanding, each change in behavior, each decision made from these insights propels you toward a higher version of yourself. This alignment not only accelerates your personal growth, but also expands your consciousness beyond the limits of what you previously believed possible. You begin to realize that your current reality is just one of many options available to you, and that you have the power to choose which reality you want to experience based on the frequencies you emit and the choices you make. When challenges come, remember there is a version of you who has already overcome them. Ask for their guidance. Sit in silence. Listen. The answer might come as a feeling, a dream, a song, a sudden idea. Act on it. That's how you walk the bridge between timelines. Aligning with your parallel versions not only guides you toward a fuller life, but also connects you more deeply with the fundamental unity of existence. You begin to understand that all realities, all versions of yourself, and all possibilities are interconnected expressions of the same infinite consciousness. This understanding brings a profound sense of peace and purpose. You realize that you're not struggling alone through your challenges. You're part of an infinite network of consciousness that's constantly supporting and guiding your evolution. Through this integration, you're not just shaping your current reality, you're evolving as a conscious being and opening yourself to infinite possibilities for growth and fulfillment. Every message you receive, every sign you interpret, every decision you make based on guidance from your parallel selves becomes a catalyst for transformation. You begin to see that your life is not limited by your past experiences or current circumstances. Instead, you have access to the wisdom and experiences of infinite versions of yourself, each offering unique perspectives and solutions to the challenges you face. The journey of connecting with your parallel selves is ultimately a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. You're learning to recognize that you're not limited to one reality, one set of circumstances, or one version of yourself. Instead, you're awakening to your true nature as an infinite being with access to unlimited possibilities. So the next time you feel lost, alone, or stuck, pause, breathe. Feel for the version of you who has already found the way through. Invite them closer. And remember, you are never alone. You are a chorus of selves, cheering you on from beyond the veil. Every message received, every sign interpreted, every decision made, based on guidance from your parallel selves, becomes a stepping stone toward a life that truly reflects who you are in all your dimensions. The communication is already happening. The question is whether you're ready to listen and act on the wisdom being offered to you. You are not bound to one life, one story, one version of who you think you are. You are infinite potential, unfolding in countless forms. You are the dreamer, the dream, and the dreamscape all at once. My dear friend, come closer and let me share with you the most profound secret I have ever discovered. A secret that has the power to transform not just your financial circumstances, but your entire experience of life itself. What I'm about to reveal to you is not theory, not philosophy, not mere inspiration. It is the fundamental law by which all human experience is created. The world around you right now, your current financial state, your circumstances, your limitations. These are not permanent fixtures of reality carved in stone by some external force. They are simply the hardened impressions of your past assumptions, crystallized into what you call your facts. But here's what most people never realize. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the author of them. Let me begin by destroying the greatest illusion that keeps humanity in bondage. The belief that you are separate from your circumstances, that you are at the mercy of external forces, that wealth is something outside of you that must be pursued, captured, and hoarded. This is the lie that has kept generations trapped in cycles of struggle and limitation. The truth is far more magnificent and far more empowering. You and your circumstances are one. You and your wealth are one. You and your abundance are one. Everything you see in your outer world is the faithful reproduction of states of consciousness you have entertained. Your bank account is not separate from your consciousness. It is your consciousness made visible. Your opportunities are not independent of your inner state. They are your inner state taking form in the world of appearances. This means that to change your outer world, you must first change your inner world. To transform your circumstances, you must first transform your consciousness. To experience wealth, you must first become wealthy in mind and feeling. Listen carefully, my friend, because this will revolutionize how you see yourself and your relationship with wealth. Everything you experience in your outer world is first born in the invisible realm of consciousness. Your current bank account, your current opportunities, your current limitations, all of these began as assumptions in your mind. When I speak of assumptions, I'm not talking about positive thinking or wishful hoping. I'm not speaking of affirmations repeated without feeling or visualizations performed without conviction. I'm speaking of something far more powerful, the art of living from your desired end, of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, not as something you hope to achieve, but as something that already is. Most people approach wealth backward. They say, when I have the money, then I'll feel wealthy. When I see the bank account, then I'll believe in abundance. When the circumstances change, then I'll change my assumption. But I tell you this fundamental truth. You must first become wealthy in consciousness before wealth can manifest in your experience. The outer world is always the result of the inner world, never the cause of it. Think of it this way. If you wanted to see a beautiful sunrise, would you paint the sunrise on your window and expect the sun to rise? Of course not. The sunrise exists independently of your window. Your window merely reflects what already is. In the same way, your outer circumstances are merely the window through which your inner state is reflected back to you. Your imagination, my dear friend, is not mere fantasy. It is the very workshop of creation itself. It is the divine faculty through which the unseen becomes seen. The impossible becomes possible. The desired becomes actual. Every fortune that has ever been built was first constructed in someone's imagination. Every empire, every breakthrough, every transformation began as an imaginal act. Before Carnegie built his steel empire, he built it in his mind. Before Disney created his magical kingdom, he walked through its gates in his imagination. Before Ford revolutionized transportation, he saw the vision of every man owning an automobile. But here's where most people stumble catastrophically. They use their imagination to rehearse their problems instead of their promises. They lie in bed at night imagining their bills, their struggles, their fear. They replay conversations that went poorly, scenarios that frighten them, outcomes they dread. And then they wonder why these very things persist and multiply in their experience. Your imagination is like a fertile garden. Whatever seeds you plant in it will grow. If you plant seeds of lack, struggle, and limitation, that is what will grow in your experience. If you plant seeds of abundance, prosperity, and wealth, that is what will flourish in your world. I'm asking you to make a radical shift. Tonight, when you close your eyes, don't count your problems. Count your blessings that haven't yet appeared. Feel yourself already living from the state you desire. Walk through the rooms of your imagined success. Feel the weight of prosperity in your hands. Hear the sounds of your fulfilled life. Make your imagination your ally, not your enemy. Use it to build the life you want, not to reinforce the life you don't want. Here's something I learned that changed my entire relationship with wealth. And it will change yours too. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. More precisely, you attract what you assume yourself to be. This is why affirmations often fail. Why vision boards collect dust. Why goal setting frequently leads to disappointment. These techniques focus on what you want to have or want to do, but they don't address the fundamental question, who do you assume yourself to be? If you assume yourself to be a person who struggles with money, who finds it hard to make ends meet, who believes that money doesn't grow on trees, and you have to work hard for every dollar, then no matter how many affirmations you repeat or how many vision boards you create, struggle will be your experience. But if you assume yourself to be naturally prosperous, inherently valuable, and abundantly blessed, then circumstances must reshape themselves to confirm this assumption. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the law of assumption in operation. Your present identity was formed by your past assumptions. Every belief you hold about yourself, every limitation you accept, every possibility you embrace, all of these came from assumptions you made, often unconsciously, about who you are and what you're capable of. The magnificent truth is this. If you can assume an identity, you can assume a new one. You are not bound by your past. You are not limited by your history. You are not condemned to repeat your previous patterns. Start now, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you feel more confident, but now. Begin to assume the feeling of wealth. Walk a little differently, with the confidence of someone who knows their worth. Speak with a little more authority, with the voice of someone who has something valuable to offer. Make decisions from the state you're growing into, not the state you're growing out of. Let me share with you one of the most powerful techniques I've ever discovered. The art of revision. This practice alone has transformed more lives than any other single technique I know. Each night, before sleep, instead of reviewing your day as it was, revise it as it should have been. This isn't about denying what happened. It's about changing the impression these events leave on your consciousness. Did you have a conversation about money that left you feeling small and inadequate? Revise it. Replay that scene in your imagination. But this time, see yourself responding from a state of prosperity and confidence. Hear yourself speaking with the authority of someone who knows their value. Did you receive news that disappointed you? Perhaps a rejection, a setback, or a no when you hoped for a yes? Revise it. Imagine receiving the news you desired instead. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of the outcome you wanted. Did you walk past a store window and feel lack because you couldn't afford what you saw? Revise it. Imagine walking past that same window with the comfortable knowledge that you could easily afford whatever caught your eye. This isn't denial of facts. This is the changing of the impression these facts leave upon your consciousness. Because it's not the external event that shapes your future, it's the internal impression it leaves behind. When you revise your day, you're not changing what happened in the past. You're changing the meaning you give to what happened, and meaning is what creates your future experiences. Now, let me be very clear about something that separates those who succeed with these principles from those who fail. It's not enough to think new thoughts. You must feel new feelings. I've met countless people who understand these principles intellectually, but never experienced their power because they try to think their way into a new reality without ever feeling their way there. When you imagine your wealth, you must feel wealthy. When you assume your success, you must feel successful. When you revise your day, you must feel the reality of the revised version. The feeling is the secret that breathes life into your imaginal acts. How does it feel to be financially free? Not just comfortable, but truly free to make choices based on desire rather than necessity? How does it feel to have multiple streams of income flowing to you effortlessly? How does it feel to be generous because you have abundance to share? How does it feel to make decisions without the constraint of financial limitation? Don't just think about these things, feel them. Saturate yourself in these feelings until they become natural to you, until they feel more real than your current circumstances. The feeling of wealth is different from the feeling of wanting wealth. The feeling of success is different from the feeling of hoping for success. The feeling of abundance is different from the feeling of needing abundance. You must learn to distinguish between these feelings and cultivate the feelings of fulfillment, not the feelings of desire. Let me tell you a story that illustrates the power of assumption. There was a man I knew who was deeply in debt, struggling to make ends meet, and feeling hopeless about his financial future. His external circumstances were quite dire, but this man understood the principle I'm sharing with you. Instead of focusing on his debts and limitations, he began to assume the feeling of financial abundance. Every night before sleep, he would imagine himself debt-free, prosperous, and generous. He would feel the relief of financial freedom, the joy of abundance, the satisfaction of being able to help others. During the day, when confronted with bills and financial pressures, instead of feeling overwhelmed, he would remind himself, this is just the old story playing out. My new story is one of abundance and prosperity. He began to carry himself differently, speak differently, make decisions differently. He stopped apologizing for his current circumstances and started living from his desired end. Within 6 months, opportunities began to appear. A business idea came to him that he had never considered before. Connections formed that opened doors he didn't even know existed. Resources materialized from unexpected sources. Within a year, he was not only debt-free, but had built a thriving business that generated more income than he had ever imagined possible. Did this happen because of luck? Because of coincidence? Because of some external force taking pity on him? No, it happened because he changed his assumption about himself and his relationship with money. He stopped assuming lack and started assuming abundance. He stopped identifying with limitation and started identifying with prosperity. The outer world had no choice but to conform to his inner conviction. I must warn you, my friend, the bridge between assumption and manifestation will test you in ways you cannot imagine. The old world, built on your former assumptions, will seem to resist your new claims. This is natural. This is temporary. This is the test that separates those who achieve lasting transformation from those who give up at the first sign of difficulty. When you begin to assume wealth consciousness, the old patterns will fight for their survival. Bills will still arrive. The bank account will still show the old figures. People will still treat you according to your past. Circumstances will seem to mock your new assumptions. This is not failure. This is not evidence that the principles don't work. This is the interval, the sacred space between assumption and manifestation, where your faith is being forged into fact. During this interval, you must live as if your assumption is already fact. You must remain faithful to your new state, regardless of what your senses report. Because what you're seeing with your physical eyes is the result of yesterday's assumptions, not today's. Imagine a farmer who plants seeds in the ground. For days, weeks, even months, there may be no visible sign of growth above the surface. Would the farmer dig up the seeds because he doesn't see immediate results? Of course not. He knows that growth is happening beneath the surface, in the unseen realm, and that in due time, the harvest will appear. Your assumptions are like seeds planted in the soil of consciousness. Trust the process. Have faith in the unseen. Remain faithful to your new assumptions, even when the old circumstances persist. Now I want to talk to you about the wealthy mind. The wealthy think from abundance, not about abundance. There's a profound difference that most people never grasp. Thinking about wealth while feeling poor creates internal conflict and mixed results. Your mind is divided, your energy is scattered, and your manifestations become confused and delayed. But thinking from wealth, assuming its reality, feeling its presence, making decisions from its truth. This creates the single-pointed focus that moves mountains and transforms circumstances. Every morning when you wake, before you check your phone, before you review your problems, before you engage with the world's agenda, spend the first moments of consciousness establishing your wealthy state. Feel it, assume it, live from it. This is not a one-time exercise. This is a daily discipline. Just as you must eat every day to nourish your body, you must assume wealth every day to nourish your consciousness. Throughout your day, when challenges arise, ask yourself, how would I handle this if I were already wealthy? Then handle it that way. When opportunities present themselves, ask, what would I do if money were no object? Then do that. When you're making purchases, even small ones, make them from a state of abundance rather than scarcity. When you're paying bills, pay them with gratitude rather than resentment. When you're earning money, receive it with the expectation of more, rather than the fear of lack. Every interaction with money is an opportunity to reinforce your wealthy consciousness or to undermine it. Choose wisely. As you begin to assume wealth, you must also assume the responsibility that comes with it. True wealth consciousness includes the understanding that you are blessed to be a blessing. You are prospered to prosper others. This is not just a moral obligation, it's a practical necessity. Wealth that is hoarded becomes stagnant. Wealth that is shared multiplies. Wealth that is used for the benefit of others becomes a magnet for more wealth. Begin now to think like a person who has wealth to share. Be generous with what you have, however small it may seem. Give not from your surplus, but from your substance. Give not when you can afford to, but when you can't afford not to. The universe cannot give you more until you prove yourself a good steward of what you've already been given. Every dollar you have is a test of your consciousness. How you handle small amounts determines how you'll be trusted with large amounts. You must understand something fundamental. You are not at the mercy of economic conditions, market forces, or external circumstances. These are merely the outpicturing of collective consciousness, and you can rise above them through the power of your individual assumption. When the world speaks of recession, you can assume prosperity. When others see limitation, you can see abundance. When the masses feel fear, you can feel faith. You are not subject to mass consciousness unless you choose to be. Your consciousness is your kingdom, and in this kingdom, you are sovereign. What you decree in consciousness must appear in experience, for consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is shadow, the shadow of consciousness, taking form in the world of appearances. This means you have the power to exempt yourself from any limitation, any lack, any circumstance that doesn't serve your highest good. You don't have to accept the world's verdict about what's possible for you. You don't have to bow to statistics or probabilities or realistic expectations. You can create your own reality by assuming it into existence. Here's what I want you to do. Starting tonight and continuing every night for the rest of your life, before sleep, when your conscious mind is quiet and your subconscious is most receptive. Enter into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Don't just think about wealth, feel wealthy. Don't just visualize success, feel successful. Don't just imagine abundance, feel abundant. Construct a scene that implies your financial success has already occurred. Make it specific, make it personal, make it meaningful to you. Perhaps you're writing a generous check to a charity you care about, feeling the joy of being able to give substantially. Perhaps you're calmly paying off a debt that once worried you, feeling the relief of financial freedom. Perhaps you're making an investment decision from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, feeling the confidence of someone who has options. Perhaps you're having a conversation with a loved one about a financial goal you've achieved, feeling the satisfaction of success. Perhaps you're walking through a home you've purchased, feeling the security of ownership. Perhaps you're reviewing your bank statement, feeling gratitude for the abundance it represents. Whatever scene you choose, make it vivid. See the details, hear the sound, feel the emotions that would be natural in that scene. Make it so real that for those moments, you forget its imagination. Repeat this scene until it feels familiar, until it feels real, until it feels inevitable. Then sleep in that assumption. Let your subconscious mind work through the night to make it so. When you wake in the morning, before you open your eyes, before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, spend a few moments remembering who you are. Not who you were yesterday, not who circumstances suggest you are, but who you are assuming yourself to be. Feel again the feeling of wealth. Assume again your prosperous identity. Set your consciousness to the frequency of abundance before you tune into the world's frequency of limitation. Throughout the day, whenever you notice yourself slipping back into old patterns of thinking or feeling, gently redirect your consciousness. Ask yourself, who am I assuming myself to be right now? If the answer doesn't align with your desire, make a new assumption. This is not a part-time practice. This is not something you do when you feel like it or when you remember. This is a way of life. This is the discipline that separates those who transform their circumstances from those who remain victims of them. I make you this promise, and I make it with absolute certainty, because it is based on law, not hope. If you will persist in these practices, if you will remain faithful to your new assumptions regardless of appearances, if you will live from your desired end rather than your current circumstances, then your outer world must and will conform to your inner convictions. This isn't theory, this is law. This isn't hope, this is certainty. This isn't possibility, this is promise. The same power that creates galaxies and governs the movement of planets is the power that operates through your consciousness. The same intelligence that orchestrates the seasons and maintains the balance of nature is the intelligence that responds to your assumptions. You are not separate from this power. You are not limited by this power. You are this power, individualized and expressing through your unique consciousness. You are not meant to struggle. You are not meant to lack. You are not meant to live beneath your dreams. You are meant to be the full expression of abundance, prosperity, and wealth consciousness. The only question is, will you assume it? Will you feel it? Will you live from it? Right now, in this very moment, you stand at a crossroads that will determine the trajectory of your entire life. You can continue to assume what you've always assumed and receive what you've always received. Or you can dare to assume something magnificent and watch as your world transforms to match. This is not a decision you can postpone. This is not something you can think about later. This is the moment of choice, and the choice you make right now will echo through every day of your future. I invite you to choose magnificence. I invite you to choose wealth consciousness. I invite you to choose the assumption that you are already the prosperous person you desire to be. Don't wait for conditions to improve. Improve your assumptions and watch conditions follow. Don't wait for the world to change. Change your consciousness and watch the world reshape itself around you. Don't wait for permission to be wealthy. Give yourself permission by assuming it to be so. Don't wait for proof that it works. Become the proof by making it work. The time is now. The power is within you. The choice is yours. Let me leave you with the most important truth of all. You are already wealthy. Not in potential, not in possibility, but in truth. Wealth is not something you need to acquire, it's something you need to accept. Abundance is not something you need to create, it's something you need to recognize. The infinite source of all wealth is within you right now. It has always been there. It will always be there. Your only job is to assume your oneness with it, to feel your connection to it, to live from the knowledge of it. Stop seeking wealth outside of yourself. Stop looking for it in circumstances, in other people, in external conditions. Find it within your own consciousness. Claim it as your own. Assume it as your truth. When you do this, when you truly accept your inherent wealth and live from that assumption, the outer world will have no choice but to confirm what you know to be true about yourself. Assume wealth, feel wealth, live wealth, be wealth, and so it is. Remember, my dear friend, repetition is the mother of all learning. Return to these truths daily, not as information to be understood, but as reality to be assumed. Listen to these words again and again until they become part of your consciousness, until they shape your assumptions, until they transform your life. For assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact, and the fact you choose to harden through assumption will become the foundation upon which your entire experience is built. Choose wisely, assume boldly, live magnificently. Your wealth consciousness awaits.